Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like living here when you had your problematic neighbours?
I didn't want to come home every night. I worked really long shifts on my job, but obviously your home is your haven. But the problems we were having, I just didn't want to come home because we found people slumped in the hallway. As soon as we come in the door, there'd be music thumping, there'd be shouting, lots of noise. You just didn't feel safe in your own home. You know, I'd come home and lock the door. Even with the telly on, there'd be noise. You just couldn't ever get to sleep. There was never, I don't think, we went months and months and months without sleep, and it got so bad that we moved back to my parents for 6 months because we just couldn't switch it off. They'd have the same song on repeat, 12 hours straight. I tried read in my bedroom, you know, a weekend. I just couldn't get. There was no time to switch off. And the type of people they weren't people that you could approach to kind of ask them to stop, because when we did complain, they started knocking on our doors and said they were going to do all sorts of nasty things to us with hammers and just awful, drop kicking our front door. And pretty often we'd end up calling the police, sometimes 2 or 3 times a night. Just never ever felt like you can relax in your own home. When you work long hours like I do, you want to come home and relax. In her time where I think she had 5 boyfriends, and every single one was the same calibre of person, either drugs, drink, mental health problems, and you can never ever feel safe in your own home when you're finding drunk people or or intoxicated people literally outside your front door.
When the different agencies were made aware, obviously we went for a closure order and closed the property, went to court. Can you tell us a little bit about what life is like now?
Here, the minute she was gone from that first closure order, and all her friends that stayed at her 1-bedroom flat, sometimes she had 6 there staying there a night, that would just stay there intermittently for months at a time. When the closure order was granted, life went back to normal overnight. The weight lifted, stress levels went down, got back into a sleeping pattern. I know it sounds things you take for granted, really, to come home at night and be able to make my tea and not feel, I don't know what's going to kick off tonight. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But the closure order, the first one, as I say, every time we got them, it was, rapid kind of weight lifted, really. And, the police and the antisocial behaviour officers, if it wasn't for them, I don't know where we would be now. I really don't know. I nearly had a nervous breakdown. My marriage, just very, very stressful. Obviously, that's now dissolved, and I really think that the pressures of having all this next door really didn't help it.
Can you tell us a little bit now about, obviously you had to go through the court procedure, and that's a very difficult thing for us to have to ask you to do. Can you tell us what you would say and what advice you would give to other people who find themselves in a similar situation to you?
There is help out there. It might not happen overnight. It might take lots of phone calls, lots of letters, but once these people are on board, they're there to help you and support you. I don't know how many emails and phone calls I made to the police and the antisocial behaviour team, but every time, once they were on board, it was catered for and helped along the way. In my case, there was no short-term solution, but they knew that, and they kept helping and helping and helping. And after, I think, 3 closure orders and an extension, she actually decided to sell the property. So through persistence, I got my life back.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.